then Kanupriya, we can start with the introduction.
Okay, then we will start formally.
Yes.
Hello everyone, this is Kanupriya Parikh and I'll be moderator for today's session. This is episode 4 of Officers Talk by Pathfinder IAS Club, and we are greatly honored to have Rujuta Bankar ma'am with us today. She cleared UPSC CSC 2018 in 2018 and she's currently serving in Indian Corporate Law Service. Law, by the way, is also her optional, so anybody who is from law optional can actually learn a lot from her. Today's topic for discussion are social justice, and we will cover that in first part of our session. Later on, ma'am will discuss general main strategy with everybody. So, guys, this is going to be very helpful, and I hope anybody who is watching later on will also be benefited greatly. Now, I will formally invite ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Kanupriya, for that wonderful introduction. So in short, like she said, my name is Rujuta Bankar. I studied law at Ferguson College in Pune, and I was ranked 325. So my service is the Indian Corporate Law Service, which I had given a very high preference considering my background. Today, I think today we'll be discussing social justice first, which I have been teaching in Pune and in a number of classes in Pune. So I'm associated with Pathfinder, especially for law as well. So if any of you have any questions regarding law optional, you can ask them during the Q&A session, or you can always contact me with your queries. Okay, so I have a small PPT. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk a little bit about how to prepare social justice as a topic. There are two approaches. One, I think, is considering that you have your mains upcoming. So from that perspective, I'll talk. And the other is if you're giving mains next year. Okay. So when I talk about preparation of social justice, it will be a mix of both. I will begin with if you're going to give mains next year. So I'll just tell you a little bit about how to prepare social justice as a topic. And then we'll move on to current affairs and answer writing, which I think is more relevant for this year, like upcoming means. Okay, so I'll just start sharing my screen. Oh, can you enable screen sharing? Done? I don't have screen sharing access, I think.
Sachin sir, you are on mute. You are on mute.
Yeah, you can share
ma'am,
now.
you are the host.
I got it. Okay, I think you can see my screen now. So
yes.
I cannot complete the entire social justice topic because it is very long. But what I will do is I have chosen a few illustrative topics from social justice. So social justice is, as you all know, part of GS2, and this is the syllabus for social justice. It includes government policies, developmental processes, welfare schemes, issues related to development and poverty, hunger. So when it comes to social justice, the issue is that it tends to be very vague. Like we don't know where to particularly prepare this topic from, and we might end up just doing current affairs, or we might end up not really preparing this topic. But I feel that if you give enough attention to the social justice topic, then you are sure shot going to score those marks, because social justice, Indian society, they are kind of not well defined. You know, it's not like history where you pick up a book, you finish it, and then you feel like you're prepared for history. So with social justice and Indian society, you have to draw your own contours of preparation, which I think that the method that I'm going to tell you, that is going to be very helpful in order to prepare these topics. So I will start with a few illustrative sections. So here you see it says developmental processes, development industry, and role of NGO self-help groups. Right. So I will start with how to prepare this topic called NGO and self-help group. The thing is that the NGO and self-help group, the notes are not ready-made or they are not easily available anywhere. You can find compilations, of course, but I personally feel that they are not very reliable. You cannot just look at the compilation and feel that you're done with the topic of NGO self-help groups. So what you can do is that here I have given you how to prepare these topics. So when it comes to the topic of NGOs and self-help groups, begin with statistics. So what kind of statistics? Like when it comes to NGOs, in the past there have been reports of CBI and IB regarding how many of the NGOs are registered, how many of the NGOs file IT returns, how many are eligible under FCRA, these kind of things. So these statistics you need to know, and from reliable agencies, and you should be able to cite them accordingly in your answer. Then if there are any reports, like for example, this I spoke about CBI and IB. So if they have released any reports in the public domain, then you should be talking about those reports. Then any committees for the reform of these two kinds of developmental organizations. So any committees related to that. And then why these things I'm talking, it might seem very basic, but see, you have to, now these are my notes related to NGOs and self-help groups. I know it's actually it might be very small, but I've just put them here. So see, they are slightly, I mean, they're basic, but they're slightly outdated, I feel. So you can have these notes, but I feel you need to prepare more up-to-date notes. Now here in self-help groups, you will see I have written a very small definition. See, usually in answers, you don't need to write definition. If they're going to ask you a question about what are issues and concerns of self-help groups, you don't need to begin with the definition. But knowing the definition is very important if it might be that some question from that perspective is asked. So here I have written the definition. Then what is the functioning? Then some positive impact. Okay, positive impact should be from various perspectives. We usually tend to talk about self-help groups from the economic perspective, but when economic is just one of the impacts. So here when I'm talking about economic impact, then I'm quoting a NABARD study, because as we all know, NABARD does a lot of work with self-help groups. So you should always quote the relevant body when it comes to that particular topic. So for example, if it is an answer related to agriculture, then there should be an agricultural research institute, or if it's an economics answer, then this National Council of Applied Economic Research, those kind of bodies. So relevant bodies should be quoted in relevant answers. It's not that everywhere you're just quoting World Bank or those kind of standard things, but just try to make your answer more specific. So here I have written economic positive impact, then I have written the social impact. So you need to address both the kind of issues, then both kind of impact. Then here I'm talking about the need. So why did we even come up with the concept of self-help groups? This need perspective in answers is very important, because it's something I think that we tend to ignore, because need asks the question why was this. It can be sort of like a linkage in your answers. And once you've written the positives, then you always have to write what are some issues and challenges. So for whichever body. So here I'm taking the example of self-help groups. If you were to write NGOs, then accordingly, what are some issues and challenges that are faced by this agency? And then what is the way forward? In terms of way forward, it is again, like I said, there are two approaches that I would recommend, or rather three approaches. First is in your way forward, you can cite something that has already been done and which is a successful model. For example, here I have written that is that Tata example, have I given it here? So, or you might have heard this very oft cited example that in Odisha, they have this self-help group midday meal linkage program. So what they do is that they usually give the self-help groups the contract to provide midday meals, or sometimes the fortified foods. So midday meals will prepare packets of fortified foods that they will go give to ICDS like Anganwadis, and then they will give them to schools. So what is happening here is that the self-help group is getting economic benefit, but at the same time, many a times it happens that the children's mothers will be part of the self-help group. So they're ensuring that the children's nutritional needs are met and that quality food is being given to the children. So this is a very positive example. So something that is already being done, that can be your example, that can be something that you cite in the way forward. Or so you should make a repository of case studies, especially when it comes to social justice, on all the topics related to social justice. So not just NGOs and self-help groups, but health, education, whichever topics are there, poverty, hunger, for all of these topics, you should have a repository of unique case studies. For example, there is that case study that in Mizoram, they started school kitchens, right? So in school, not school kitchens, school gardens. So the children are also learning gardening, they're learning where their food is coming from. So they're learning science, but at the same time, they are getting access to nutritional organic food from the garden of the school itself. So this is a unique example that stands at the crossroads of education as well as hunger. So these kind of examples you should be gathering, and you should know the specifics, like you should know the name of the scheme or the program, because that will lend that much weightage to your answer. So one more place to get these kind of case studies is Niti Aayog comes out with a booklet called Best Practices, and it is a very helpful, excellent booklet. So you should download that booklet from the Niti Aayog website, and in your own words, see, because that booklet is very big with pictures and everything. So in your own words, prepare a very small, like a few pages of best practices and where you can use those best practices and in what answers. So one way forward is the best practices. The second way forward is reports and recommendations of committees, because they know what are the issues and what is to be done. So second ARC's social capital report is again one of the excellent repositories of way forward for the developmental sector. So for social justice, it is very important that you refer to this particular report. Sachin sir has made an excellent summary of that report, so you can ask him for it. And then the third way forward is that what you get from current affairs or what you are reading in the newspapers, and you see that, okay, they keep recommending in the editorial that this is the issue with NGO self-help group and bring about this change. So that can again be one of the way forward. So these are the three different ways to write your way forward. Then what are some other aspects? Now here I have written the self-help group bank linkage program. This was there in my answer, in my notes, even before the question came. In UPSC, there was a question related to how do I even know that this is a thing? Because if you pick up this social capital report, or if you pick up anything that you're reading material on self-help groups, this is bound to be mentioned. Okay, because one of the issues that tends to be is that of marketing of products of self-help groups and of lack of access to capital for them. So the solution is in this program. And then here then there are some diagrams and flowcharts and all that you can draw. Then here I have written the statistics that NABARD says there are 2.2 million self-help groups and 33 million members, all of that. And then the best practices also include Kerala's Kudum Shri, which is one of the most popular. And so this is how you prepare the notes when it comes to social justice. I know it's just 2 months and you might feel that there's no time. So as you can see, this is just one A4 size page, and these are two sides of the A4 size page. So I'm not telling you to sit and make voluminous notes. When it comes to see, the payoff is very high basically, but I would recommend those who are preparing for next year's mains to definitely do this. You will, and it's not that you have to do everything from scratch. Mostly Google all this stuff. Secondly, you can download basic notes. Like if you Google self-help group UPSC PDF or something like that, you are bound to find some basic notes, but they are either, they just keep rambling with irrelevant stuff, or they're too long. Okay, so you just take the crux of them and then you put them in your notes. This is what is going to help you revise when you're going to write your GS2 tests, or when you're going to revise before the exam. This is the kind of stuff that you need for easy access, especially for social justice. Once you have this, like, trust me, the first time it will take you probably 3 to 4 hours. Consider it an investment. Later on, you can quickly revise it, and half an hour, your entire topic will be done. Then similarly, I have prepared it for NGOs as well, where I have written what is the definition, then some nice keywords or something that might seem very nice into introduction, like NGOs are the operational arm of civil society. See, you don't need to always use extremely flowery language or anything like that. Actually, I would recommend that the simpler you write your answers, the better. Don't make your answers too complex. But sometimes if you use some nice introduction, conclusion, it tends to have an impact. Then this is the World Bank's definition of NGOs. Again, like I said, you don't have to begin your answer with introduction, but with the definition. But sometimes they might ask you a question like the legal form of NGOs, or NGOs exist in multiple forms in India. Should it be streamlined? Okay, so if a question is like that, then we understand that okay, this relates to what itself is an NGO. If they're asking you straightforward, what are the issues of NGO, you don't need to write the definition. So it depends on the nature of the question, how you're going to begin the introduction. Then one of the policies, so here I spoke about statistics committees, meaning, role, issues, solutions. Okay, solutions was way forward. Now examples and flowcharts and diagrams, they also have to be included. Plus another thing is policies and laws. Okay, I have not written that in this list, but policy and law related to that particular sector. So when it comes to health or education, then you need to know what is the national health policy. Then NEP came recently, so you need to know what is the policy related to that section, and what are the schemes and laws. So for example, here in NGOs, you can see National Policy on Voluntary Sector 2007. It's a very outdated policy, but some things of it are still relevant. So secondly, what you can do is, when I say laws related to this sector, so related to NGO, what are the relevant laws? Like FCRA is something that is in the news all the time, so you need to know the law related to NGO, or see, you don't need to go into legalities of it, just what are the various forms. Like for example, what is an NGO? If I were to ask you what is an organization, then how will you answer, other than the definition that NGO is a organization that is separate from the government, blah blah. The actual crux, legal crux of the matter is that an NGO can be a society, it can be a trust, it can be a Section 8 company. So you just need to know the idea that NGO can take any of these forms. And so the laws related to, okay, what is a Section 8 company? Section 8 companies are in the news as well. So Section 8 is a non-profit company. So you need to know that. Then I have given certain examples. So for NGOs, the more unique examples that you gather, the better. So don't just rely on like human rights NGOs, because that's what comes to our mind once we think of it. But here, if you look at the examples that I have written, so Goonj has been doing a lot of excellent work during lockdown as well. So Goonj is a very well-known NGO. Then Akanksha Foundation works in education. Piramal Foundation is a CSR based NGO because it is formed by a company. So the more varied NGOs that you find, the better. Then Tarun Bharat Sangh works for water conservation. Then we have Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra works with government. So try to find unique examples, like one related to environment, one related to education, one related to working with government. Then there are NGOs like this NGO called Shakti Vahini, which worked in formulation of the anti-human trafficking law. So it did a lot of civil society work. So what we are doing is we are thinking of the varied role that NGOs perform, and then we're thinking of an example for each of those varied roles. And the more example, and try to have a bit of well-known NGOs, not like one of your local NGOs. Okay, ones that are in the news, usually in the Hindu you will find. So then this is the role that I have given, and I have tried to connect the role to the work that the government does. Then as I have told you, then on the right hand side here, in the margin, you will see that I have written a lot of statistics. It might not be clear, but I mean, I'll give you this PPT and you can see. And then certain issues and then the way forward. Okay. This was about NGOs and self-help groups. Similarly, I have prepared, these are my notes on hunger. So when it comes to hunger, then for topics such as, especially social topics such as hunger, education, health, you really need to know the SDGs, the MDGs, so theek hai abhi, no need, but SDGs you need to know. So these kind of global indicators you have to really know. So when I prepared these notes, the MDGs were still relevant. So here I have written the MDGs and here I have written the SDGs. Then global nutrition report. So you need to know India's rankings. That is again an important thing that we didn't discuss in NGO self-help groups. So for topics like hunger, education and health, what are India's rankings? In education, the QS rankings tend to get a lot of media attention. So those you need to know. Where is India lacking? Why is India lacking? This is very basic. See, I'm not saying that this is not comprehensive. This is like whatever ground, this I think helps you reach the ground zero of social justice preparation, and from here you can include current affairs and those things. So as per, in what are the indicators of hunger and what are India's rankings related to that? So access to food might be an indicator, malnutrition, stunting, wasting. These are all different indicators of hunger. There is directly, how do you tell that a population is hungry? You tell it from the indicators. So what are certain indices related to these indicators, and what are India's rankings related to that? Then you have causes and all. So when it comes to malnutrition, then we have underweight, overweight, as well as hidden hunger. So you might be knowing these things. So try to always look at the multiple aspects of things. And then again, keywords. So I will address that a little bit in detail later, but here I have written this keyword, that is sudden nutrition transition. So these kind of things that it sounds like you've hit the nail when one sees that in your answers. So, and then I have just tried to show this, like from traditional diets, we have gone to high energy and calorie dense kind of diets. So this again shows this nutrition transition. And then whenever you're writing your way forward, what I would recommend is, in your notes you should know what are the government steps and what are the steps you are recommending, because we might say something obvious such as there should be food fortification to deal with hunger, and then it turns out that the government is already undertaking biofortification and food fortification. So your recommendation shouldn't be redundant, or your recommendation shouldn't be something that the government is already doing, because that kind of shows your ignorance that, okay, you don't know that this is already being done. So you should be aware of what are the things that the government is doing. Or why you should be aware is, secondly, UPSC likes to ask that despite all of these measures being taken to deal with hunger over the years, why does hunger still persist? Despite all of these measures being taken to deal with hunger or to deal with education or poverty issues over the years, why do these still persist? So when you are in your notes writing the government, measures, so you know that these are the steps being taken. Going forward, what you can do is you can also write what are the loopholes in the government measures. I'm sorry, just a second. Sorry for the disturbance. So write the government measures and write the loopholes in the government measures. And then whatever solutions that you are recommending should go above and beyond that. And then your recommendations can come from, like I said, government reports, committees, best practices, and all of that. Then there might be something that some body is recommending, or like World Bank is recommending to deal with hunger and malnutrition in India. So you should know those things. I'm just trying to see. International best practices that I had not addressed before. Here you can see in the margin, I have written conditional cash transfers to mothers, example in Africa. So far the examples that I talked about were India based examples, that we were talking about how some state is undertaking some initiative that is relevant. So similarly, you can cite international examples as well. It actually shows your awareness. So conditional cash transfer means that if the children are meeting the health indicators rightly, then the mothers are getting cash transfers based on fulfilling of those conditions. This is something that has successfully been done in Africa. So you can cite these kind of international examples as well. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how to prepare the topics of health and education. This you can still do. Again, I'm saying just invest some time this year, especially because of NEP 2020. I think health and education are very relevant and important topics, and they again might seem vague. So how to prepare them is whenever it comes to the topics such as health and education, the aspects that we have to talk about are this A3Q. Okay, it is a very well used, known and used acronym. So it is A3Q is availability, accessibility, affordability, and quality. So what is the availability of educational resources? Are they accessible? Are they affordable? And what is their quality? These are the certain things that you need to know. Then, as I have already said, stats, laws, and policy. Laws, when it comes to health, actually there are a lot of laws that we don't even know about. For example, you can cite state specific laws that are positive best practices, like in Maharashtra for the protection of doctors and health personnel, we have certain laws. Then when it comes to policy, we have the national health policy. Then committees, so we have. Then whatever are the schemes, you should know the SWOT analysis of those flagship schemes. Flagship schemes means a scheme that is extremely important from that perspective. So for health, Ayushman Bharat is a flagship scheme. Or when it comes to education, it used to be Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, now it is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. That is a flagship scheme. So what is the outline of that scheme? And because welfare schemes is also a topic for social justice. So what is the outline of that particular scheme, and what are the SWOT is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So you should know all of these aspects. When it comes to health and education, preparation should be sector wise, especially when it comes to education. So you have primary, secondary, tertiary sectors. Again, SDGs, as I cited earlier. And then what are certain issues? Now, just I'm giving you, taking health as an example, there are a hell lot of issues. So you need to just sit and brainstorm, or every time you come across a new issue related to health, what you should do is you should just write that particular issue, and then later on you can prepare it in detail. So for example, for your daily answer writing, something like universal health coverage or primary health. Primary health, we had a specific question that was asked. So you can, in your these A4 size or in these summarized notes, I don't think you need to prepare each of these topics in detail, but you should at least in your list of issues have a list that, okay, these are the topics. And later on, when you're doing daily answer writing, or for example, when you're preparing for your test or something, then you can just prepare these topics in detail a little bit. I know it seems like you'll have to give all your time to social justice only if you're doing so much. But the truth of the matter is, this is like a one-time investment of time. Like when you're doing GS2, you just try to put in this much time and the payoffs are very high. Like, trust me. Okay, then like I said, government measure, lacune and way forward, and then some case studies and best practices. Like when it comes to health, we have the Mohalla clinics or Porta cabins in Chhattisgarh. Then that's for education, Porta cabins, and then Delhi education model. Okay, then here I'm going to discuss how to prepare current affairs. Okay, it's 11, so.
No issues, ma'am. Please
I'm going to
continue.
discuss how to prepare current affairs, taking the example of the NEP. Okay, I've written NEP here because current affairs can be so varied. So I'll just take the example of NEP. The question is it enough to only read the Hindu when it comes to some particular topic? Or, when you are preparing daily current affairs, like, do you need to, the first question that everyone asks is, do I need to make notes from newspaper daily? This is the first question that is asked. And then the second question is, are current affairs magazine, are current affairs magazines sufficient? So these are the two questions that are usually I get from students. So the first is, do you need to make current affairs notes daily? What I would recommend is, you need to read the newspaper daily, but and you definitely need to read the newspaper daily. This I strongly believe. But when you're preparing your notes, you don't need to write down every little fact that you read in the newspaper that might be asked in prelims, for example. From the newspaper, what you need to get is, you need to get the analysis and insight that is coming from the newspaper. From the current affairs magazines, you are going to get a whole bunch of facts, whichever you are following. You might be following IS Baba, you might be following Insights, you might be following, whatever it is that you're following, Vision or whatever. Then you are going to get all those little facts, such as XYZ was declared UNESCO World Heritage Site. So you are not going to sit and make notes of that every day. That's just a waste of time. And that's, you always need to do smart work and not donkey work. When it comes to UPSC preparation, your time is limited, so you need to conserve that time. So when it comes to all these little everyday happenings or facts, you're not going to write Joe Biden became president of US in your notes. Okay. Now, what your notes are going to reflect is that if there is an expert article written by Sham Saran sir, or written by Mr. Gokhale, or written by C. Raja Mohan, then these articles are going to cover varied aspects of the Indo-US relationship. So in each of these answers, you just have to pick up those one or two relevant points. You don't have to rewrite the whole article as your answer. So if you know that there is something that is in the news a lot and it is a very important topic, then what I would recommend is, prepare the topic beforehand, or wait while the topic is developing 1 or 2 weeks, and then just prepare that entire topic. And then you will see that, okay, now I have comprehensive notes on this particular important topic. For example, labor code, all the agricultural acts that were recently passed. These are big topics that are developing, and that that, okay, questions might be asked on these. So you have to prepare your comprehensive notes related to these topics. And then as and when you're reading articles, you just compare the article and your notes. And if that point is already there in your notes, in some other words, where it might be there in your notes, then don't repeat it. Okay. So this is what I mean by smart work, that, okay, you have prepared this topic, just look at the article, the op-ed or whatever, and then see, okay, yaar, ye to aadha to mere notes mein hai, just 1 or 2 points are important, I'll just add them. That's how you prepare. So how do you prepare in this comprehensive manner? First is, what are the facts? Now, when it comes to NEP 2020, a lot of us, तो PDF पढ़ने के लिए तो obviously you don't have time with the upcoming mains. If you are giving mains next year, then you might read the PDF of the NEP. But you need to know what is the crux of the matter, what are the facts, what is the actual NEP, not just the summary that comes in the newspapers, but what itself, what is it that the NEP says. So for that, I think PIB or any online source, such as if you write NEP 2020, then many websites such as Civils Daily or GK Today, these kind of websites which are very facts based. So these websites will have a comprehensive, the actual provisions of the NEP. So you just need to know them, that, okay, these are the actual provisions. Then you move on to the analysis. So the facts of NEP and the analysis, they are separate things, and you need to prepare your notes accordingly, that this is what the NEP says, this is what the act says, and then these are the pros and cons of it. So for analysis, The Hindu or Indian Express, though if you get time, do both. If you're giving the exam next year, do both. But I would recommend The Hindu as of now. How I followed it was, for mains I used to read The Hindu, and for the interview I used to read the Indian Express. That was just my approach to things. But The Hindu is enough if you're preparing for mains. Then always, I think this is highly recommended, that RSTV Big Picture you should watch, and you should make notes from that. If you don't have time to make notes, I've noticed that these days on YouTube, in the comments, someone or the other will make a summary of whatever they are talking about. So at least that you could do. Or many websites these days have summaries of Rajya Sabha TV. So you can pick it up from there, but they tend to have very unique and insightful points. So RSTV Big Picture. Then news on AIR. what I've noticed is, like, if you're just walking somewhere, it's like listening to a podcast. You can just listen to the news on the go and make notes on your Google Keep or somewhere. So you have to listen to the news live. News on AIR and Spotlight are actually news analysis shows. Okay, they come at 9:15 on FM Gold channel. So I sound like I'm making an advertisement, but yeah, they come on FM Gold channel at 9:15 every day. So there are some apps which have a recorded version, or even AIR website has a recorded version of this, so you can listen to it anywhere. So if you're standing in line, or you're in an ATM line, or you're doing whatever, you can just 10-15 minutes ka show hai, but the kind of inputs that it gives you, especially because many a times these shows have the actual people who have drafted the laws. So they will have an interview with the MOS or with the minister, cabinet minister. So when they are speaking about the law, you realize what is the rationale for the law. And in answer writing, knowing the need or the rationale for that particular thing is very important. So it just clarifies many things in your mind. You might not even make notes from it, but just listen to it, and that is enough. So then Napoli app, again, I use a lot. Napoli is more relevant from interview perspective, but if you tend to be on your phone a lot, then you can read. Napoli is this news app you will find on Play Store. It has the how, why, what, when of all news. So gives lots of insights. And then after you are done with this, okay, like you are preparing, you're done with reading all of these sources, then just to plug in the loopholes, what you have to do is just go through the questions that these websites have on that topic. See, I'm not saying you have to do this for each and every topic. I'm saying for all the important topics that are there, the ones that are in the news a lot, like NEP is there, or NEP is there, or this farm laws example I was giving, labor code example I was giving. So for these particular topics, you should go about doing, such detailed things. So finally, by questions, what I mean is, in Inside Secure, our IS Baba's TLP program, you will see that questions are asked from different perspectives on that same topic. So when you take NEP 2020, just go through Secure and just see, okay, this aspect was not covered in my notes, this aspect was not covered. So then try to write down, yeah, because see, you have already prepared your notes and analysis, so you already know enough about this topic. So you should be able to directly write whatever is the answer to this topic. So from Secure and IS Baba, you should be writing direct answers. And then, okay, I've just written an example here. Sorry, I've just written, now see, this is a very niche aspect of NEP. If you prepare NEP as a whole, then we tend to prepare just the pros and cons of NEP and what are the issues with it. But now see, how this is such a niche question that I picked up from RSTV debate, that among the key highlights of NEP is the decision to make home language or mother tongue or regional language as the medium of instruction. What is the need? Like I said, rationale or need for the initiative is a important aspect, while pointing out hurdles, and what do you suggest as the way forward. So if you prepare only NEP as a topic as a whole, you might not even have prepared a topic like question like this. But if you are watching the RSTV debates, and if you're doing the Inside Secure and IS Baba TLP,
Okay, ma'am will be with us in just a few minutes. Please have patience, guys.
sorry for that. So this kind of question you might not have in your notes. So that is why I'm recommending that do the Secure and TLP thing also. So that is just kind of going to plug in the loopholes. And after you have prepared a topic in so much in detail, it is the UPSC's job to make it difficult for you, right? They are going to always find questions which were not there in your notes, and which is entirely okay. That because See, what I feel is you should be putting in your 100%. If you've put in your 100% and you have prepared everything that was there, then whatever question is asked is asked. I mean, that's not your concern, because then you are going to have the confidence that मैंने तो सारा किया था, whatever question is there, I will be able to attempt it. So, yeah, that's the thing. Now, okay, now final thing is answer writing, and then we'll be done. When it comes to social justice and Indian society, the kind of introductions that I recommend is statistics and reports that I have talked about, or current affairs. Current CA means current affairs. So why this particular question has been asked? Not something like NEP was released recently. Okay, that is not the kind of current affairs we want. By current affairs, I mean that, for example, if they're asking a question about SC/ST Atrocities Act, or if they're asking a question about reservation, then you might begin that there have been increasing protests or demands for reservation across states such as Maharashtra. Then you might write Marathas in the bracket, Haryana, Jats in the bracket. So why was this question on reservation asked? So you might ask that current affairs. Then if there is any quote or any book, or now especially when it comes to Indian society, if there is a question related to caste, then you can begin with a reference to annihilation of caste. Especially in GS1, this is fairly acceptable, and you can do that. Definition only if relevant. Please don't begin your answer with definitions just because you know the definition. Okay, I discussed earlier in the NGO thing how definition might be. Then future prospects, as in why this particular topic is so crucial. So if you have a question related to NCDs, that is non-communicable diseases, under the health topic, then you can begin your question, you can begin your answer saying that non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases are likely to affect the demographic dividend of India. See, so demographic dividend is something that we always talk about in the future. This is the future prospect. So then how that might be affected through lifestyle disease, you can make linkages like that. Or similarly for lifestyle disease, you can say what is the SDG related to that, and then what are the measures that India is taking. 1 minute. Yeah. Then so that was the introduction. Then linking paragraph is very relevant and very important. I'll give you an example of linking paragraph in the answer that I have written. But a linking paragraph will be something like the need and rationale, like I said. So if your introduction here was related to SDG of lifestyle disease, then the linking paragraph will be related to demographic dividend as to why they have asked the question. So you as a future public servant know why this particular topic is so crucial, or you can write the various aspects of it that they have not asked. Okay, you can just try to address the various aspects that they have asked. Then the body of the answer can have different approaches depending on what the question is. So the approach can be a pros cons, a pros, social, economic, political, cultural, environment, can be chronological, like ancient, medieval, blah blah, and then it can be at these kind of levels also. So for example, for low female labor force participation, what are the implications? What if that is the question? So that question you can answer from, you are not going to answer what are the pros and cons. Obviously there are no pros of low female labor force participation, but how you answer this kind of question is at the level of individual. What are the issues at the level of family, at the level of society? What is the impact of low labor force participation, national level, global level? So this is just a method of approaching the answer. Then a penultimate conclusion might be a way forward. That is your penultimate conclusion. Or the measures taken by government, that can be a penultimate conclusion. And then conclusion can be something that is forward looking. Okay. Okay, so here I have just again given an example for social issue. That if what is the concept and what are the statistics could be an introduction. Linking paragraph could be the causes of that. For example, high MMR, if that is the question, maternal mortality rate, then your introduction can be what is the MMR currently, what are the causes, then your body can be the implication means the impact of it at the various levels. Then penultimate paragraph can be what are the government efforts, and then way forward is constructive conclusion that is there. Okay, and then just a past year question, again I have tried to address. Does the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act ensure effective mechanism for empowerment and inclusion of intended beneficiary? So when you're answering a question, always look at the keyword. That what are the keywords? It is related to empowerment and inclusion. So that means that you have to try to address the specific uh, provisions in the act that deal with empowerment and that deal with inclusion. So obviously they are basically the pros and cons of the act, right? But just the words that you have to use are empowerment and inclusion. So if my introduction is this much percent of Indian population identify are persons with disabilities or are differently abled, that's my introduction. Then objectives of the PWD Act, this is my linking paragraph. Like I told you earlier, they have not directly asked me what are the objectives, but why I'm writing that, because this is the rationale, this is why we came up with the act. And then in the body we're trying to see whether we are fulfilling our the measures that we are taking. So does it ensure, you can have two or you can have one only. You can have two as in, does it ensure empowerment and does it ensure inclusion? Yes as in pros, no as in cons. Then government measures, what are there, and conclusion. Okay, government measures mean Accessible India campaign, all of those things. So in addition to the above act, the government has taken measures such as, and then okay. So overall, when it comes to preparation of mains, I think we just have five more minutes now. So let me just address. This was
Rujuta, you can stop sharing the screen so
that I
that.
spoke about. When it comes to overall mains preparation, I have two tips or two things to talk about. One is that you should make a very detailed plan up to 2 weeks before your mains exam, and it should be a detailed plan down to the T. Like, I am going to give my essay test this on this particular day, or this is the, I mean, plan your entire test series, and then you can plan your study schedule around that test series. Or secondly, what you can do is you can, sorry, I got muted. So you can your own studying timetable. So do make
Rujuta, you can stop sharing the screen. Ma'am, you can stop sharing the screen so that you can
prepare
be
your
understood.
own detailed study timetable down to the T as per the test. But it's very important to have a plan. It shouldn't be vague in your head that I'm going to give 4 essay tests. You should know that on this particular day I'm going to be giving an essay test, and for that I'm going to prepare accordingly. So for your optional as well as your GS, because the most important thing is actually is planning, when it comes to mains preparation. And the second thing that I'm going to talk about is I used to prepare, or I used to have these small notebooks for each of my GS topics. So GS 1 2 3 4, small as in, those the ones that we used in school, those kind of small notebooks I would have. And in those notebooks, what you're going to do is that topic wise you just have to include stats and keywords. That's it. Those are the only things. And when it comes to GS2 especially, you have to include the relevant articles. So for example, if it is Office of Profit, then what is the article related to Office of Profit? And then or if it is women's issues, then what are the important statistics related to women's issues, and what are the important keywords. And trust me, this is going to help you a lot, especially when it comes to GS. I'm sorry, it's a full house for Diwali here. So we have lots of my nieces and everyone is around. So I have to keep, yeah. So especially it is going to help you for GS 2 and 3. Do make those smaller notebooks and then write the statistics and write the keywords in those notebooks. So you, in the weeks before the exam, every time you're going to give a test or at the end of every week, you should read that particular notebook and keep reading it again and again. And you should be able to utilize those statistics and keywords in your answer, because see, this is the value addition stuff. You cannot expect yourself to suddenly remember exact statistics or to remember exact report or some particular keyword. But if you keep reading it again and again from these value addition notebooks, then it will help you a lot. For example, if there is a person with disability question, how will you remember what are the percentage of differently abled in India? That's a difficult statistic to remember. Or what is the percentage of female labor force participation? But these are very crucial kind of statistics. I mean, person with disability, okay, if you don't write, it doesn't matter. But if the question is on female labor force participation and you don't know what is the rate of female labor force participation, it is definitely going to adversely affect your answer. So you need to know these statistics. So you need to read them again and again in order to remember. And recommendations of committee names, these kind of things can be in those small notebooks. I had a separate notebook for ethics and essay as well, which had all the important quotes, and it had flow charts and diagrams. So this was my value addition notebook. So I think the value addition notebook is a very important factor that is going to help you in mains. So you can do that as well. Yeah. All right, Kanupriya, that's all from my side.
That was really very insightful,
Cannot.
ma'am.
Wait a minute. Can you, hello?
Hello, is
Yeah,
it
now I
audible,
can hear
ma'am?
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
It was really insightful and very helpful, ma'am. Like, I personally found so many, actually so many important things, and which I've also come across while evaluating a lot of mains copies. So, ma'am, I think you have to leave. Do you have 5 minutes to stay, ma'am, or you need?
Yeah, sure. No worries, no worries.
Oh,
I have
I'll
5
just
minutes.
summarize whatever you have told, ma'am, and then we will wrap it up.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so guys, the session was real. I hope you have watched it, and if you haven't right now, please, I hope everyone watches it offline. So it was very beneficial, not just from social justice perspective. Like, ma'am has given almost, I found it like spoon feeding you, like कैसे लिखना है, कौन सा statistics intro, like so many important things. So I'll just quickly sum it up. In social justice, very important aspects that ma'am touched upon are like make it multidimensional, cover multiple aspects. Very important is cover policies and laws relevant. The people miss it out, but it is very important from social justice perspective. If you don't know the related laws, it will adversely impact. Very important again, ma'am has kind of spoon fed you on way forward, and trust me, I personally from my experience and while evaluating, I found that a lot of people struggle with writing way forward, which actually can increase 1 or 2 marks in every answer. So ma'am has given you 3 types of way forwards. You can go back to the video and watch it again and write it down, but do that. In hunger, poverty and education topics, ma'am has told you how to use best practices and how to use different reports and indices, and also do the SWOT analysis, A3Q. These terminologies, they are so important, and ma'am has just so quickly and nicely told you. So it will actually have a minimum, I feel 10-15 marks का difference ला देगा अगर आप religiously follow करोगे जो मैम ने बताया है. देन आंसर राइटिंग में एक चीज जो मैम ने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बोली है is that there has to be a linkage between your introduction and body. This is like people just miss it out. अगर लिखा होता है कि critically evaluate करो तो people will give an intro, वो एकदम चालू कर देते हैं कि challenges with this thing. No, that's not the right idea. The way ma'am said कि कोई भी पॉलिसी गवर्नमेंट लाई है तो देयर हैज टू बी अ रैशनल बिहाइंड इट और देयर आर कॉजेस फॉर एन इशू. So please, whether it is asked or not, do either write the rationale behind the policy or at least write the causes behind that issue. That's very important. That will show your analytical skills, the depth of your understanding, and that will give the idea to examiner that you have clarity on things, which is very important. Also, and rest, I think you have heard it clearly. If you are confused, go back to the video, and we are very, very thankful, ma'am. It was super fruitful session. And thanks for giving us your valuable time. It was really good, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kanupriya. It was my pleasure. It was a wonderful session, and thank you for inviting me to talk.
We
Thank
are
you so much,
honored.
ma'am,
Thank you
for
so
coming.
much.
And thank you so much for your valuable
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can end the session now.
Okay, then we will wrap it up officially. Thank